This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Time now to head out to the Progressive guest line all the way to Glendale, Arizona, site of tomorrow night's college football semifinal matchup between Miami, a 3.5-point favorite, against Ole Miss, as Stanford Steve is live at the stadium and on the field as he joins the program a day before the game. Man, this is that looks awesome. How you doing, pal?
We're great. We are great, guys. We're in it, man. We are in it. You want primetime football. What do we got? Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, and I'll be in Pittsburgh Monday night with Scott for Bad Beats after Steelers Texans, which would be awesome.
Wow, so you're going to go. You're going to be at the game tomorrow night in Phoenix, Glendale. Then you're flying to Atlanta for the game on Friday, and then are you going to any game Saturday or Sunday, or just taking a couple days off?
I'm going to try and get home and lay on the couch Saturday and Sunday.
All right.
Scott and I will work Sunday night, do Sports Center after that night. What's the Sunday night game?
Patriots,
yeah.
Oh, Patriots, yeah. We'll be on after that, and then we'll fly to Pittsburgh Monday for Sports Center after Steelers Texans.
Boy, dude, that's a hell of a weekend. By the way, quietly turning into like top 2, top 3 weekends out of the entire year for sports, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, if you like ball, God bless how you feel. Take off Tuesday because you're going to need it. These are some late nights, but
it's gonna.
What do you guys think about the NFL schedule? I just wondered why they continue to put all the cold weather games at night. I think that's just asking for trouble.
Yeah, I could see that. Also, you have 6 outdoor games this weekend too. So what are you going to do?
Yeah. I just thought Jacksonville would be a different setup as a night game. You're in Florida.
Yeah.
Get New England or Chicago at Sunday 1:00. I don't know. Just me kicking around ideas.
Okay, we'll get to NFL in a second. So how about the game tomorrow night? Yeah. Miami now up to a 3.5-point favorite. The way it looks across the screen against Mississippi, the total is about 52.5. Any strong opinion here on this game?
I still lean towards Miami. When you look at what they've done, and they have absolutely perfected shrinking the game. Right?
Yes.
They go up 14-0 against Ohio State, and going back and watching it, Ohio State's really, really pressed because you don't know how many possessions you're going to get back. They missed the field goal before the half. I thought that was huge, just to get something on the board and cut in a deficit. You come out, you cut it to 7, you come out and you give up one. The field goal, that was a big field goal for Miami just because of being at A&M and seeing how bad they struggled in the kicking game. I thought that was a monster field goal they got there to go back up 2 possessions. And then, we talked all year about this historical aspect of Ohio State's defense, and I thought it really hurt their image, giving up that 10-play, 5-minute drive where Miami scored at the end. You got to get off the field there if you're a pronounced defense. The one question I had about Ohio State all year was the lack of NFL superstar talent on the defensive line. Like when you think about their great teams, it was Bosa, both Bosas, Chase Young, different guys. They didn't have that guy this year, and they couldn't get off the field, and that cost them. But it goes to Miami. The way they've played, Beck has 241 yards passing in 2 games. And probably the best games of his career because he hasn't turned it over. He has 1 pass play over 20 yards. And these are the 2 biggest wins, say, in 20 years of the program. So how they've done it, just manifested stuff up front. Fletcher has been unbelievable. He's shown a dependability in that second half at A&M where it said, he went over to the sidelines, give me the ball, and they showed it. I think it's a lot for Ole Miss. Now, the one thing I will say is I love what Golding did going into the second game with Georgia. In the first game at Georgia being there, the defense was toast in the fourth quarter. That's why Georgia rolled them. But his studs up front, Daugherty, Eccles, Harris, and Perkins, those guys played 86, 75, 73, and 70 snaps. The other night in New Orleans, Daugherty only played 69, Eccles only played 60, Harris, the big D tackle, only played 52, and Perkins only played 50. They were flying around in the fourth quarter. They made it really tough on Gunnar Stockton. So I thought Golding immediately made adjustments, and which was a big step. It's the biggest game of his life. He's only been a head coach for 2 games. You can say what you want about the Tulane game, but he's confused Beck in the past meetings too. So Ole Miss is wary. I just think Ole Miss has to play with the lead. I think the first quarter is enormous for Ole Miss to jumpstart it and get this place going, knowing that Miami wants to hold on to the football.
Everything you said is spot on, especially I know we both agree. How about Fletcher? 25-30 to 1 to win MVP of the title game. I don't want to say looking ahead, But how much talk is there when you talk to Miami people about they could get a home game in the national title?
Oh, they know it. And you guys, you're old enough. We're all about the same age.
Yes.
Miami won all those national titles in the old Orange Bowl.
Yep, they did.
It just made, that was always a national championship. They got there, whether they were beating Nebraska or Oklahoma. They had the advantage there. Now, I think this is a monster step because they're not the underdog in this one. But there's a sense of togetherness. I really feel like Cristobal, and he's been much maligned, there's no doubt. But he loves this team because of how they're built, and that's on the line of scrimmage. Him being an offensive lineman, him being a former offensive line coach for Saban and all that, what he did at Oregon, he really likes this team. They're comfortable. But I've heard styles of fights thrown around. Ole Miss is Floyd Mayweather, and Miami's just going to stay in the middle like Mike Tyson. But at some point, the flyweight has to attack. Now, how do they get attacked? Do they go over the top and try and throw deep shots, or do they try and run the football with Lacey? I think they're going to have a tough time running the football. But with all the side-to-side stuff and then the downhill and then the quarterback run, Charlie Weis is going to have plenty of options. It's just a matter of how they go about it. But Miami's not afraid of anything, especially the way they hit Ohio State in the secondary. I can bet you that defense is licking their chops to get a couple early licks on this Ole Miss team.
Yeah, well said. Follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, Stanford Steve, on the Progressive Guest Line. Small nitpick here. Maybe there's a way in the future to have these bowl games be floaters where they're going to play them, because I think it would make more sense to have Miami and Ole Miss in Atlanta and then Indiana and Oregon playing in Phoenix. That way it's also easier. You're asking these fan bases to travel 2, 3, 4, 5 times. It's like, hey, it's a lot of money. How about you keep it a little bit closer to where we're located anyway? I like Indiana.
Well, the thing there, Mitch, though, is it's geography based. So Indiana, as long as they hang around, they're going to the closest site. So Atlanta is closer.
Oh,
they take precedent.
Oh, they do. Okay.
But I get you. I see this going. I see this going to 16. We talked about it. That way there's no buys. Everybody gets rid of the buys because there were last success, even though most of those teams were underdogs. But you get 2 home games, and then everything's good. But the best thing about this whole playoff is the fresh meat we have in it.
Yes.
New faces. These fan base don't care. They're going for it all. Every team has their own great story. I feel like Oregon is not even being close to talked about enough when you talk about the teams left. So that's a wary spot for Indiana.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Now, I'll ask you this, though. They were pounded the first time at home. Like, how many teams can go to Autzen and do what Indiana did in the regular season? Not many. And that was a brilliant performance. The game was never really that close. What adjustments can or will the Ducks make in order to make it more competitive this time around?
Well, it's up against Oregon because I got a chance to talk. I've known Brian Haynes, the defense coordinator for Indiana, a while now. And talking to him before the Rose Bowl on the field, without Daly, he was their stud. Like, he created mismatches up front. He lived in the other team's backfield. He had a great game against Oregon. And, knowing that they had an advantage against Alabama, which their offensive line is their weakness, he felt good about the matchup. He just didn't know how he was going to go about it, knowing he didn't have Daly. But they're number 1 in the country in turnovers, and that sets the precedent. They don't make mistakes. And I'll tell you one thing again, I think it's 4 times in 2 years, 5 times in 2 years I've seen Indiana. Their skill guys are way better than people give them credit for. Like, Surratt's probably not going to throw or run a great 40 time at the combine, but he catches everything, contested catches. Cooper's a mismatch nightmare. And then this guy Becker comes in when Surratt got hurt at Penn State and makes the great catch before Cooper makes the unbelievable catch. So Indiana just doesn't make mistakes, and they're super physical. So I feel like Oregon has to tighten it up on the offensive line. We've seen Dante Moore now with all his toys back on offense. He could throw it. But the problem was in the first game, Indiana lived in the backfield and forced them into bad decisions. So Oregon has to be better on the offensive line, and they got diced up against Texas Tech.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite number right now on the board for the wild card games?
I like the Patriots. I just feel like with the way they've been able to somehow play this underdog as being the favorite and playing the worst schedule since '99, I look at them as being formidable. I really think the Chargers are banged up when you look at it. They tried resting guys. The defense is solid. But I think McDaniels, people want to talk about what he was as a head coach. That guy is a wizard offensively. And with Diggs, as a guy now who he just create separation. And the two running backs and how they use that, like throwing the ball to Stevenson last week, like no one had that. So I think New England's a lot tougher than people are giving them credit for. I don't think anyone is going to take Pittsburgh. So I could see myself taking Pittsburgh as a home dog. I think everybody is falling in love with the Texans because of that defense.
Yeah. You know, when I was a young kid, I always thought that Hugh Hefner had the best life imaginable. I think you're number 2 on the list now, right behind him.
Get that.
For different reasons, obviously, right?
Sure.
Yeah, different. Maybe a little bit. Yeah. Enjoy the game, pal, or games. Thank you. We appreciate it. Love talking to you.
I appreciate you guys. Hopefully we catch up soon and break some bread together, man. It'll be awesome.
Doubt. Get to Vegas, we'll do that. There you go. Stanford Steve live Glendale at the stadium for the game tomorrow night between Miami and Ole Miss. Up next, win-lose. And another fantasy football punishment has gone viral. I love the creativity and the imagination. Wait until you hear what the loser had to do.
You're here because you want an edge. That's what separates listeners from winners. But let's be real, mindset alone doesn't get bets home. Pros win because they've got the tools, the data, and the discipline. And now so can you. VSiN Pro gives you access to the same real-time insights the sharps use. No secrets, no fluff, just actionable info that moves markets. Tap the link and see why serious bettors are turning knowledge into profit with VSiN Pro.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Great to have you on board here on a Wednesday. Thanks for watching on YouTube TV, listening on SiriusXM channel 158, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, or any of our great affiliates across the country. It is Wednesdays with Vito Sun. The great Sal Paolantonio joins the program here on the Progressive Guest Line. Sal, pleasure as always. Hope you had a great holiday season. Thanks for the time today.
I did, and Happy New Year to you guys, and it's great to have another year on Follow the Money. I got to tell you, it's my favorite part of the week, and everybody all over the country talks to me about it. I was in Denver last week. I'm coming through the tunnel where the Denver Broncos are going back to the locker room, and a guy leans over and he goes, "Sal Pal, follow the money, Sal Pal."
Strong. It doesn't matter where you're at. That same thing happens at almost every stadium across the country. Very cool. Are you like us? Like, I think this is absolutely refreshing. I could not get enough of the regular season, and I love how it feels so wide open in both the AFC and the NFC this year.
Yeah, the Seahawks plus 330 to win the Super Bowl makes Seattle the 6th longest favorite entering the playoffs in the last 50 seasons. Wow. Think about that for a second. 6 different teams have been Super Bowl favorites at different points in this season. The Bills, Chiefs, Eagles, Rams, Ravens, Seahawks. 6 different. That's the most in a single regular season since 2012. Wow, that's a long time ago. And that was the year the Ravens won the Super Bowl despite never having been favored at any point in the postseason. And the Ravens just fired their head coach that won that Super Bowl. How about that? And 2 of the 6 teams that were on that list I gave you didn't even make the postseason. I think the NFL, guys, has never been more volatile, never been more just unpredictable, and it's must-see TV all the time. When you got 1/4 of the league does not have a head coach, and in these playoffs, no Manning, no Brady, no Mahomes, no Lamar Jackson, no Joe Burrow, and you've got all these young guns trying to knock off Stafford, Rodgers, and Hurts. I mean, it's so wide open, it's crazy.
Great breakdown. Absolutely. How about your team? Lane Johnson going to play?
I would suspect he's going to play. It's early on in the week. We are waiting for the Wednesday practice report to see what he did, if anything. It'll be very telling what he does in the next couple of days. But he is trending. What I'm told is that Lane Johnson is trending towards playing, and he's got to be impactful, right, guys? It's not enough for him to play. They want to see whether or not everything holds up on him during practice, because it's very, very important that they have a healthy Lane Johnson, not only this week, but going forward in the playoffs. To me, though, I'm going to say something. It might be controversial. I think this Eagles defense is better than the one that won the Super Bowl last year.
I think you might be right.
Ooh. That is strong.
I think they're better.
Yep.
I do. You got Pro Bowlers at all three levels. You got 4 decades plus of experience from Vic Fangio. And you heard today Kyle Shanahan talking about how he tried to hire Vic Fangio 3 times. And Fangio against Shanahan is 3-1, by the way, in his career. 3-1.
Yeah.
How about that?
And Kyle's teams do not score points. I think below 10 in 2 of those 4 matchups. By the way, there's also this. We all know how important Lane Johnson is when he's on the field compared to when he's not for Philadelphia. How about their opposition this week? Trent Williams, who did not play Sunday. When that news came out, or Saturday, you're like, oh boy, I like the Seahawks even more now. But they're 4-13 without that guy when he doesn't play, and he did not participate in practice today along with Ricky Pearsall. Like, if he's not there, Sal Pal, I think you have to love the Eagles in this game.
Yeah, and when he's not there, what happens is they focus on the interior of the offensive line of the San Francisco 49ers. You saw Seattle do that in Week 18. They obliterated the guards and the center in the middle of that Niners offensive line. And the Eagles have a very good tandem of defensive tackles. To me, that's the game right there. When the Niners offense is on the field, that is the absolute game. And the Niners were, kept out of the end zone. I mean, that final drive with C-Mac, that muff, they played well down the stretch, I thought, in the fourth quarter because of the way Brock Purdy played. But in the end, I think what they'll try to do is just go straight up the middle. That's the mismatch. And force Brock Purdy out of the pocket. Now, here's the big problem. Brock Purdy out of the pocket is a problem. He's an issue. He's faster than you think. He's elusive. He turns 3-yard gains into 13-yard gains all of the time. You need a spy operation on Brock Purdy, and that is something that the Eagles have struggled with this year.
It's up to 4.5. That's a lot of points. You got a quarterback you don't trust, a kicker you don't trust, and you live there. This could be a home field disadvantage if they have a lousy first quarter and start out slow.
And that's their problem. They've been starting out slow, and they're bad on first down. 4.5 is a lot of points, but I think the Eagles are going to win and cover in this game. I really do. They have the ability to break down the protection on the Niners quarterbacks. Remember the last time the Niners came in, they ran out of quarterbacks. Hopefully Kyle Shanahan will have enough quarterbacks in this game.
Yep. How about the game on Saturday night in the NFC? Third time around for the Packers and the Bears, and now the Packers are taking money this week. They're favored pretty much across the screen, up to 1.5, total 45.5 here. But how do you see this game going?
I don't like the Packers in this game. I love the Packers in this game. I love them. They have a major mismatch in this game. Remember, Week 14, they beat Chicago in Green Bay, 28-21. Jordan Love threw 3 touchdown passes. Focus on that. Jordan Love and the Packers' speed wide receiver against the Bears secondary. That's a major mismatch in this game. And you're going to say, well, the Packers had Parsons in that game in Week 14. Last time they had him for a full game, they've had Micah Parsons in that game. Well, guess what? Micah Parsons had only 1 tackle in that game against the Bears. He was a non-factor in that game. And the next week, of course, he got injured in Denver. So to me, the big matchup to watch, and these games are so volatile, they're so close, you have to focus on the outlier matchup. Like I mentioned in the Eagles game, it's the Eagles' interior defensive line against the interior of the Niners' offensive line. In this game, focus on the outlier. It is Jordan Love and the speed they have at wide receiver for the Packers against the Bears secondary that gives up all kinds of yardage and touchdowns.
Excellent. Saturday, we start with the biggest road favorite in playoff history. How about the Rams 10.5 against losing record Carolina?
Well, we have to go back and look at how the Rams lost in Carolina the last time they were there, right? It was the turnovers by Matthew Stafford. They got in his head. That defense was terrific. The way they were dropping guys into coverage and beating the Rams offensive line. I don't anticipate, no one should anticipate, that Matthew Stafford, who's neck and neck for the MVP race with Drake May, is going to go down into Carolina, into Charlotte, and turn the ball over 3 times again. That's just not going to happen. So I like the Rams to win this game, but there's no way in the world you can give up 7.5 points in this game. Can you? I don't see how you can.
No, I can't. There's no way.
It's 11 here now. Oh, man.
It's 11 points. Considering what the Panthers did to the Rams offense, the Panthers defense owned them the entire game, tormented Matthew Stafford, broke down the protection, and the turnovers were the key to the game. So I think you'll see a little bit of that. But I think Matthew Stafford holds on to the ball. I think the Rams win the football game, but I don't think that they cover with 11 points. I just don't.
Yeah, that's a big number, no doubt. Follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Wednesdays with Vito's son, Sal Paolantonio here. He's going to hang around for one more segment. We'll get into some of the coaching openings that we have now across the league with him at that point, what he's hearing. How about on Sunday then, the first game, this is at 1 o'clock Eastern, Buffalo opened up about a 1.5-point favorite at Jacksonville, and there are plenty of pick'ems out there right now. Some money at books here on the Jags this week. Do you agree on that?
Yeah, well, the Jags obviously bullied the Denver Broncos. That's what they did. They went into Denver and bullied them. And the Broncos, in my opinion, are a more all-around better team than the Bills. They are a bully team. They take the ball away. They bully you on the offensive line. And you got some shalom in the home with Liam Cohen. I mean, he is unbelievable the way he has handled Trevor Lawrence. He has calmed him down. You watch him on tape. We have a big segment on the NFL Matchup Show on this game, and we show what has happened on offense. The scheming up open throws, the decisive windows that Liam Cohen has made available to Trevor Lawrence. So it's hot, plant that right foot in the ground, get rid of it, turn the interceptions into touchdowns. You really have reduced the number of interceptions and sacks for Trevor Lawrence. I like the Jaguars a lot in this game against the Buffalo Bills. You know, I've seen Buffalo 3 times, twice on the road at New England and at Pittsburgh, and then at home, this is all recently, against the Philadelphia Eagles. And in all 3 games, they started off slow. They came back against Pittsburgh. They came back, obviously, against the New England Patriots. They were down 21-0. They weren't able to come back against the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the Jaguars have too much firepower. If they get down early in Jacksonville, the Jaguars have too much firepower, and the Bills won't be able to come back.
Great breakdowns. We'll continue with Sal Pal coming up next. His thoughts on the other 2 primetime games that we have Sunday night in New England and also Monday night. Oh, boy, Houston and Pittsburgh going at it. And where does John Harbaugh coach next year? We'll ask him next on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We continue with Sal Paolantonio. Joins us every Wednesday at this time on the Progressive Guest Line. Been covering the NFL for 3+ decades. Does it as well as anybody on ESPN. Okay, we're going to get your Super Bowl prediction, by the way, in this segment in the next 10 minutes. Let's continue with 2 more games to get to. The Sunday Nighter, this is a dandy. Chargers at the Patriots. New England laying 3.5 points here, and the potential MVP in Drake May. Your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, you know, the last time the Chargers beat the Patriots in the playoffs, the Chargers are 0-3 in the playoffs versus the Patriots in the Super Bowl era. The last time they beat the Patriots was in 1963 in the AFL Championship game, 51-10. So it's been a long time since the Chargers beat the Patriots in the postseason, and I think the Patriots are equipped to beat the Chargers. I like some things that I saw from the Chargers last week. They beat down the Denver Broncos starting offensive line and put Bo Nix under duress the entire game. The Broncos could not score a touchdown. I think what you'll see from Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator, is he's going to max protect Drake May, allow him to get out of the pocket and throw on the run where he's very, very good. And I think Drake May at home against New England is going to be very tough to beat. I like the Patriots in the game.
I agree with you on that one. Absolutely. And they get off to, unlike Buffalo, they get off to hot starts every week as well. How about Monday night?
Do.
Yep, Houston's won 9 in a row. They're laying 3 at the old man's place. Steelers.
Yeah.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, no question. It is the old man's place. And when I studied the Pittsburgh Steelers under Aaron Rodgers, if the wide receivers are in the right place, he gets the ball out so quickly that they can't get to him. The defense can't get to him. And that's exactly what Houston's calling card is. It's their pass rush. It's their 4-man pass rush where they drop 7. So if Rodgers, who is the smartest quarterback in the postseason, Matthew Stafford notwithstanding, of course, all due respect to Matthew, but Aaron Rodgers is so smart. You watch him on tape, he can figure out exactly what you're doing if you don't blitz him. And if you do, it's even worse. So he can move the team down the field, I think. And with Metcalf coming back and a full week of practice and a late game on Monday, I think Metcalf and Aaron Rodgers will be on the same page. You watch Aaron Rodgers where he likes to operate, guys. He likes to operate outside the numbers in one-on-one situations. So that means the Houston Texans are going to have to help those cornerbacks on the outside the numbers. And I think Rodgers are going to be able to move the ball. I like the Steelers to upset the Texans.
To win it outright.
Wow. That's a great call, too, because Tirico mentioned it on the broadcast that Rodgers was begging the Ravens to blitz before that game and what they said during the game. Back up 1 second. Eagles defense under Fangio. Number 1 in points per game, defensive efficiency. Number 2 in yards per play. Can you share why they have just a great chemistry and why they love Fangio so much and all the paisanos running around there?
It's all about the meatballs. There's a great piece by Tim McManus on ESPN.com. You got to see it. So Vic Fangio gives out a prize each week in a paper bag, spaghetti and meatballs, and it's his homemade meatball concoction, and it is supposedly something that's won over the entire team. They can't wait to get their prize of the week. It's a paper bag full of spaghetti and meatballs, and there's a video of him making the meatballs, but he won't share the recipe. He said he has had players wanting to share the recipe so they can give it to their girlfriends so they can take it home and make it for them. And he's like, yeah, well, if I give it to you, I have to kill you.
Yes, that's what, yes, absolutely. It comes in a brown paper bag. They said it's phenomenal. Although Brandon,
it's phenomenal.
One guy gave it a 7 out of 10, which is disappointing. But I'm certainly, it goes back to his family in Italy in the 1920s.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
It's got to be the real deal.
I got to tell you, I want to listen, Mrs. Palantonio makes great meatballs. She really does. In fact, when I first started covering the Eagles back in 1993, WIP and Angelo Cataldi had a meatball contest.
Yeah.
And my wife's meatballs won the contest.
Whoa.
Right out of the
Wow.
gate. Bang.
Oh, that's awesome.
Is that common, by the way? I've never heard of that before. Spaghetti and meatballs in a brown paper bag?
Never heard of it. That's really super. That's super old school, man.
Oh, it
That
has
is
to be.
old school.
That's got to go back to the
Yes.
right. Okay.
Yes.
So let's get your official 2026 Super Bowl prediction.
Well, like I said, I think this Eagles defense is better than the defense that won the Super Bowl last year. I think you got Pro Bowlers on all 3 levels. You got 40-plus years of experience. I think the Eagles are going to repeat as Super Bowl champions.
Oh, they're going to repeat.
Wow.
Who do they play?
Jacksonville.
Ooh,
Mamma
bringing
mia.
the heat. You are bringing the heat today.
That'd be the 2-3
I
seeds
like
making
Jacksonville. I like Jacksonville a lot. I like Jacksonville. They are explosive on offense. They're great at taking away the football. They've got tremendous confidence. Liam Cohen's a really smart guy. Trevor Lawrence has tremendous talent, and they will bully you. They are a physical team, and there is not a team in the AFC that I think they can't beat.
Yeah, that'd be an 11-game winning streak if your prediction is accurate. Would you give Malik Willis, or do you think some team will give him like 3 for $50 or $60 million?
Well, Malik Willis showed some stuff. He was finally coached up the right way. He had some receivers who had some speed. Everybody knows he has a big arm. He's a dual-threat quarterback. There are very few of them going around. Listen, these owners and general managers give money away to these quarterbacks like crazy. So the answer to your question has to be an absolute yes. I would give it to him for sure. I think Malik Willis is as good as Jackson Dart right now. Maybe better.
Maybe better. Who is Jackson?
Maybe better.
Who is Jackson Dart's coach next year?
If it's me, I hire Kevin Stefanski and not John Harbaugh. And I know John Harbaugh was on the back page of the New York Post, and they had Stefanski in today talking to the general manager, Joe Schoen, in New York today or tomorrow. I'm not sure exactly what day it is. Maybe it's a 2-day thing. And John Mara, the owner. Stefanski has the perfect temperament, and he also has the X's and O's. In the NFL right now, you need a head coach like a Liam Cohen, like a Ben Johnson, who can handle a young quarterback, coach him up, provide him with the scheme and the attitude to get ahead, to succeed. And that's what you've seen from Ben Johnson. Totally transformed Caleb Williams. Why? Great scheme, great approach, ability to really handle the quarterback. That's what you've seen from Liam Cohen, calming down Trevor Lawrence, coaching him day in and day out, but also providing him the schematics to succeed. And that's what I think Stefanski can do with Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart has ability, but he needs to be coached up. He can't go to the podium and say, hey, it's tackle football, this is pro football, and all that stuff, and go up against these linebackers. You know what? It's not college. It's pro football, and they're there to try to decapitate you, take your head off. And Jackson Dart needs to get coached up by a guy like Stefanski, not hardcore, not confrontational, has the bloodlines of great coaching from his dad and from his godfather in the world, Fran Dunphy, the great Hall of Fame coach in the Big Five. Mm-hmm. Kevin Stefanski is the kind of guy who can help Jackson Dart. They may go the Harbaugh route. Harbaugh might be more sexy, but then you've got to find an offensive coordinator, because this was the problem Harbaugh had in Baltimore. He couldn't find the right combination of offensive coordinator to help Lamar Jackson. And that, to me, is the number one thing that I would look at if I were the Giants.
Yeah, very good. So if Harbaugh doesn't go there, in like 30 seconds here, do you have any inkling to where he might be coaching next year, or does he take the year off?
Yeah, that's a good one. He could get the year off. Now, you look at the openings or the potential openings. You got a lot of them. Who's coaching these teams? Harbaugh's got to be at the top of the list of every one of these teams. I think he coaches somewhere. I think he does coach somewhere.
Very good. Sal Pell, you're the best. Thank you for the time as always. Enjoy the games this weekend. We'll talk next week.
It's the best part of my week. It's an honor to be on your show. Thank you for having me. Follow the money. Love it.
Honor to talk to you, as always. There you go. Sal Paolantonio, ESPN on the Progressive Guest Line. Doesn't like Green Bay, loves them. Likes Jacksonville a lot. And has Philadelphia repeating as Super Bowl champs over said Jags.
That I have to disagree with. The offense has too many issues. I love the meatball story.
Yeah.
Also, we got to get back there somehow. Imagine walking around Philly with that guy. Get his wife's meatballs and then hanging out and everything.
I don't think he can walk the streets of Philadelphia, can he?
The cannolis and everything. Oh.
Mike Palm, VP, Circa Resort Casino, coming up next. We'll ask him about early respected money for the wild card games and how did Survivor entries come out with their hedge bets here. Coming up next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We'll get some best bets here for the weekend and in college basketball tonight. VSiN host Matt Youmans on the program, and he is on the Progressive Guest Line. Matt joins us on Wednesdays at this time on a weekly basis. Matt, good to talk to you as always. Do you have a strong opinion on either college football playoff game starting tomorrow night?
I like both dogs, but I don't love these. Obviously, my strongest opinions last week were on Miami against Ohio State and Indiana against Alabama. So these would be smaller bets for me. You flip the Hurricanes to the favorites role. They were dogs in the first two games. Be interesting to see how they respond here, because Ole Miss obviously really comfortable in the underdog role, and this has been a great story so far. And Trinidad Chambliss has been incredible. 362 yards passing against Georgia last week, and the defensive line could not get to him. They couldn't get much pressure on him. You think that's going to be probably different here with this Miami defensive front, but I don't think this is going to be easy for Miami. And I do like the dog a little bit here, but like I said, it's not a real strong opinion. 3.5 on Ole Miss and 3.5 on Oregon. I've been on Indiana quite a bit. I've only bet against Indiana twice all season, once at Iowa, once at Penn State. And I do have a little bet on the Ducks here, +4. But I've got futures on both these teams to win it all, and I feel like the winner of this game is going to win the whole thing. Mm-hmm. A lot of times when you have a revenge situation where the favorite loses the first time, I like to come back with that team the second time around. And it's interesting when you look at the first meeting between these teams. These are supposed to be the top two quarterbacks in the NFL draft. If you watch the tape of the first game, I watched it again last night. These quarterbacks were not impressive the first time around, but that's more of a statement about how good these defenses are. Dante Moore threw 2 picks against Indiana, and Fernando Mendoza threw a pick 6. Indiana's rushing offense actually only got 3.3 yards per carry, 37 carries for 111 yards. I think it's going to be more of a defensive-oriented game. I don't like to bet against Cignetti, but I think Indiana probably wins this thing by a field goal. But again, not a strong opinion. I don't want to bet against them, but I do have a little Oregon +4.
Very good. Great job last week calling for the Indiana blowout as well. This number keeps going up. Here at Circa, the Rams are lane 11 against Carolina. Biggest road favorite ever in the playoffs. What do you think? Circa's got 11 now, and I feel like taking the Panthers. I know Mitch and I got big futures on the Rams. I think we're going to be fine here. The Rams are not going to drop this game in Carolina. They're not going to lose this game twice. But the Panthers are 8-9, all 8 wins in the underdog role. It's funny when you look at a team like this hosting a playoff game has a minus 69 point differential, which is ridiculous. But the Rams, 3-3 in their last 6 games, those 3 losses by a total of 7 points. It was a little bit concerning that they struggled with the Arizona Cardinals last week. I was not happy about that. Mitch and I were over at the Westgate watching that game. Cardinals lost 9 in a row. They had nothing to play for. Yep. And the Rams were struggling a little bit with that team last week, which is kind of a bad sign. Carolina can move the ball on the ground with Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle. So I think there's a decent chance here the Panthers hang within the number, but the Rams are going to win the game. Okay. Here's what concerns me a little bit about Houston. As Stingley said, they've been treating this like a playoff game every week because they were 0-3. So they have the 9-game winning streak. If you go back, teams that enter the playoffs on these long winning streaks don't do well. So what do you think now with the Pittsburgh money and now the Steelers down to 3 Monday night?
Well, I took the Steelers 3.5 right away. I knew I was going to be on them, and it was not going to go to 4. I felt fortunate to get 3.5. I didn't really think that number was going to be out there. I'm not as high on the Texans as a lot of people. I know a lot of people are high on Houston. Hey, the Houston defense at times can look nasty, but the Houston defense has allowed 21.8 points over the last 4 games. And those games were against the Colts, the Cardinals, the Raiders, the Chargers. And the Chargers had an offensive line that was all banged up at the time. And, the Raiders probably should have beat the Texans in Houston a few weeks ago. They needed a bailout from the officiating crew to help get that win. I have questions about C.J. Stroud. And, the Steelers, with Jaylen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell, they help Aaron Rodgers out quite a bit with the short passes and the run game. And I think the Steelers' offense, aside from the Cleveland debacle, has looked a lot better over the past month. And DK Metcalf is going to be coming back here. Look, the Steelers won that game Sunday night. I was on them in that game. It wasn't easy, obviously. But, they had to deal with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, who was actually playing well. You don't have that many threats you got to deal with on this Houston offense with C.J. Stroud. I like the Steelers as home dogs again, I know a lot of people are going to talk about that Monday Night Football trend that goes back forever. That's crazy in favor of the Steelers. I just like them Monday night, and I think they're going to win. I think they have a low ceiling in terms of advancing very far in the playoffs, but I think they're going to win Monday night.
Very good. VSiN host Matt Youmans, our guest. He's on the Progressive Guest Line getting best bets this week in football. Also tonight, college basketball. Last night, it was crazy in that sport. I couldn't imagine what it was like being live on the air for some of those results and how those games were ending. Tonight, another good slate as well. This Bama-Vandy game could just be electrifying. Vandy's laying about 4 the way it looks. Total is upper 170s. Any thoughts on this one, Matt?
Yeah, this is going to be a good one, actually. And Mark Byington, the coach of the Commodores, he's a hell of a coach. And this is one of those, Mitch, I wish I had grabbed the Vanderbilt futures about a month ago or 5 or 6 weeks ago, because there were some big numbers out there on Vandy. And I didn't get it sooner. I looked at Vandy as a really good team. I didn't look at Vandy as an Elite Eight type of team, a title threat. But actually, I think it is. I think Vandy is that type of team. But if you look at Alabama, the Tide just beat Kentucky by, 15 over the weekend. Alabama runs hot and cold depending on the three-point shooting. But if these teams played about a month ago, Alabama probably would have been a 1.5-point favorite at Vandy. Now is a 4-point dog. I think at some point here, the Commodores are going to get burned. They played with fire in a couple games. They probably should have lost at Memphis. A couple of weeks ago. I like Alabama getting 4 tonight. I don't love it. That's kind of a smaller play for me, but I think you get a little number value on Alabama as a 4-point dog, because that certainly would not have been the number if these teams met a month ago. And I think the Commodores are kind of due for a loss here.
What about Iowa State and Baylor?
Well, this Baylor situation is really interesting with James Najee, the 7-footer who was an NBA draft pick, was the 31st pick in 2023. He's been playing in Europe, and he played over the weekend, debuted 16 minutes, 5 points, 4 rebounds. He didn't make a big impact, but I think he's going to be needed in this game against Iowa State tonight, because Cyclones really don't have a weakness. And I'm really impressed by Iowa State's team in general. I think you need a little bit of size on the front line, more size on the front line to combat what the Cyclones do. And this Baylor team's not bad. It's interesting because you look at Baylor on paper and you wonder why they're not better. You got good guards in Cameron Carr, Tundre Yusufu, Obi Agban, the transfer from Wyoming. You actually got 4 or 5 really good guards on this team. But if you look at Baylor's resume, the wins since the beginning of December have come against Sacramento State, Norfolk State, Alcorn State, Southern, and Arlington Baptist. That's pretty bad. And that's why I said I'm inclined to lay 4 with Iowa State tonight on the road. I hate playing road favorites, especially in conference play, and I haven't bet this yet, but I'm giving Iowa State a serious look tonight. Iowa State's a team that's definitely Final Four capable.
All right, you mentioned that drubbing Kentucky Wildcats took to Alabama over the weekend, got pounded in that game. People are just like up in arms about, oh my God, the roster construction. They got this one wrong. Money can't buy you everything. Now they're taking money, by the way, open 10.5 against Missouri, up to 12.5. Is this a get-right game here?
Well, Circa had 13.5 last night, and I hesitated. I didn't pull the trigger on the 13.5. I wanted to look a little bit deeper into Missouri because they've had some injuries. Tigers are healthier now. They played better over the weekend in that win against Florida. Missouri had a couple really embarrassing losses, one to Kansas, one to Illinois. The Illinois game was especially embarrassing. But the Missouri team's a lot healthier now, led by Mark Mitchell, Anthony Robinson. This is a pretty good team that's 11-3, and I think is going to start to play better. And then the win against Florida showed some signs there. But, Mitch, you know Kentucky as well as anyone. Can you trust the Wildcats laying this type of number? I don't think so.
No.
Kentucky shot 4 for 19 from 3 in that loss at Alabama over the weekend. 4 for 19. Only 2 players scored in double digits. Kentucky's won 4 of the last 5, but I'm not sold here yet. I think this is a fragile favorite. And this is the first bet I made today. I did take the points with Missouri.
Very good. Matt, thanks for the time as always. Good luck tonight and this weekend in the NFL and college football.
All right, tune in to the Friday Football Invitational. Chris Massero, the Madman, the Boston Strangler. He's the leader. He's going to be on the show Friday night.
Okay.
Excellent.
Very good.
Thank you. Sal Powell was on earlier. His Super Bowl prediction, Eagles, Jags. At Caesars, The Eagles to beat the Jags pays 55-1. Jags over Philly pays 70-1. You want to back Sal Pal there?
Man.
I can't get there with Philly. I love Sal. The offense it's been broken all year long. They're just not going to flip the switch and voila.
I almost got to do an emotional hedge on Philadelphia.
They bother you that much?
I do. They just are under my skin so much. I can't stand them. I really can't. I'm there with that team. Because I don't want to see a team that's been broken all year on offense get there and then win. Our best bet's coming up next.